Welcome to the Grand Review, the show that's all about movie news and reviews. I'm your host, someone whose badness level is unusually high for someone my size, Garrett Ray. And joining me, he's never hung from a biplane, but he's seen everything, by golly. It's Andy Delia.
Thanks, Garrett.
Welcome to the show. If you've never joined us before, basically, here's how it works. We're going to do spoiler-free reviews and then spoiler reviews. Now, this is a megasode, which means that there are...
Yeah, we got a lot to cover.
We got 2 whole movies to cover, and so we're going to do spoiler-free, and then spoiler for the first movie, and then spoiler-free, and then spoiler for the second movie, and then we'll get into the news and whatever.
Yeah.
And, basically, that's how it works, and if you're listening on Spotify, you can play along with us. So, good, bad, great, or terrible is how we rate our films. You only have 4 options. Anything in between is not accepted. So...
A monkey on a trampoline throwing darts at a dartboard can follow this.
Exactly. Well, that
Thanks,
may
Disney.
be giving way too much credit to Disney executives.
Running joke.
But if you're on Spotify, you can vote good, bad, great, or terrible. On this one, there's going to have to be 2 in there. It's going to be an interesting poll to set up,
Yeah.
but I will find a way. So vote below. Now, we're going to start with the action movie.
Okay.
Memorial. Hold on. Sorry. My nose really itches. Okay, it's gone. So Memorial Day weekend is upon us, and that means big movie releases.
Yes.
So first off, it is potentially the end of the Mission Impossible franchise, probably because Tom Cruise is about to turn into an actual sack of dust. So we're talking about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Yeah.
This is also known in the before times as Dead Reckoning Part 2, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Because making decisions is hard, and we shouldn't make the decision before we spend millions of dollars on marketing.
Was there any reason why they changed the name other than the fact that this was going to be the final film?
I think maybe, just because it's the final film, or because someone was doing a rewrite on the script and said, oh, wait, that line where he says, your final reckoning, let's do that instead. And someone was like, yeah, but we already have a bunch of stuff out that says, like, Dead Reckoning Part 1. And he was like, let's just see if we can get away with it. You didn't. We noticed. But we always start with Andy's thoughts. So, Andy, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, good, bad, great, or terrible. What'd you think? Spoiler free, just so we're clear.
Okay. I thought it was good. I like this entire series. I've liked it since the first movie and how this has progressed. And I really even like the montage at the beginning of this of like all the different films cut together and what Ethan Hunt has gone through, Tom Cruise's character. And
Yeah.
I thought it was
It's
just
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It was a cool way to end it. Is it a perfect film? No. I think it drags a little bit in spots.
Okay.
One spot in particular. And now that I've seen it twice, and thanks to my son, who had to go see it in IMAX, so we saw that last night. It does. IMAX really did add something to a couple of the sequences that we saw that were really cool to see in that format. But overall, I think it's a solid action film. I think it's a good popcorn film, and I hope this is the last one. If nothing else, just because I think it's a good way to end it and just leave it where it is. And if they're going to do another Mission Impossible, like do it with somebody else other than Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I think they, you know what? Let's just get Jeremy Renner in. That worked last time with the Bourne Identity.
No, it didn't.
I think they do kind of leave it open. Like the whole movie, they're like, there's no way this is open. This is it. This is it. This is it. And then at the end, it's like, but maybe. Maybe this makes enough money. Maybe.
Well,
maybe we do
considering Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise are like the big producers behind this, and it's their baby, and they're already have 3 other projects in the works that have nothing to do with Mission Impossible. If they come back to it, it's not going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, and you wonder, like, which one of the team would be the one to pick up the mantle, but we can talk about that a little bit more in spoilers.
So what do you think?
I have to give this a good. I had a lot of fun with it. I do think this one and the one before it, I noticed more than any other Mission Impossible suffer from the, hey, we're going to do an exposition dump, but we're going to make it come out of everyone's mouth back to back to back to back to back. That way you don't notice it's an exposition dump. And I'm like, yeah, no, you still notice. You still notice. And I think that just felt really hokey, and it felt hokey in Dead Reckoning Part 1, and it felt hokey in The Final Reckoning.
I thought Dead Reckoning was a little bit better than this one.
I think so too.
If anything, it held my attention more.
Yeah.
Not to say that the ending to this wasn't bad or, that it was bad. Just I thought there was a lot more going on and it kept the pace up a little bit more than this one did.
Yeah, I think so. And there is a lot to set up in Dead Reckoning Part 1. And then there's not as much to set up here, but somehow it takes more explaining.
Right.
And I was curious about that. And I also think that...
Because this one's longer.
It is longer. Yeah, this one's...
2 hours and 49 minutes.
Yeah, 170 is what it shows on Wikipedia, which is, 1 minute over what you just said?
Yeah.
I think they're always off by 1 minute. But anyway, running time for Dead Reckoning Part 1, 163 minutes. So we got an extra 7-ish minutes.
Yeah.
And so most of it is filled with stuff you could have cut out.
Minutes.
Yeah. It's just I don't know if we needed that. Really.
There's one scene in particular. There's a couple of scenes probably, but one scene in particular in this one that just dragged on way too long, I thought.
It both did, because I know what scene you're talking about. It did drag on too much, but also makes sense that all of that happened in the way that it did. But also you could have shortened it and also it dragged on too long because you can look at the momentum of certain things and go, that would have already happened.
Yeah.
I can't say any more without spoiling it there, but we'll get into that.
Let's get into the spoilers then.
But yeah, I'm gonna give it a good. I did enjoy a lot of this. I will say though, Tom Cruise is not an actor anymore.
He's just a stuntman.
He just talks a little bit and looks bewildered.
And he runs a lot.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's like every shot in this movie is trying to go remember Mission Impossible 3 where he ran really good and everyone was like, wow, look at him run. We're going to make him run. He's running right now. Look, do you see it again? He stopped at the corner. Oh, he's not running. Oh, what's that? More running. And it's okay, chill out.
My favorite out of this series is number 2. For a couple of reasons.
That is absolutely shocking to me that anyone would say that. I don't know. Number 2 is the one that just everyone rags on for being too John Woo-y.
That's why I liked it.
Yeah, I figured that's
because
I like Ghost Protocol is my favorite.
It's a John Woo film. The action scenes are really good. It's definitely his style of filmmaking, but it's the one that I go back and watch probably the most beside the first one.
I have a question for you. Because in this one and in the Dead Reckoning Part 1, they keep flashing back to a time that Ethan Hunt's wife was shot in an alleyway.
Yeah.
Is that actually in any of the previous movies?
I think it's in number 3.
Okay. Because I haven't seen that one in quite a while.
Yeah, neither have I.
All I remember is him running.
And I just remember Philip Seymour Hoffman's the bad guy in that one. But that's when he went nuts and started jumping on Oprah's couch, and then nobody went to go see it. Because I was working for Cinemark at the time. We had on 3 screens, and did that bomb. It's so
weird to me that actually is the thing that turned people off from Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
just that he was excited about his fiance.
Yeah.
That's what turns you off. It's not the fact that he drains the life force of children, allegedly. It's just the fact that he
acted like a goofball.
Acted like a goofball when he was in love.
Right.
That makes no sense to me. People would hate me. I love my wife. They would absolutely hate me. Let us know below on Grand Review Pod. Do you hate me? Am I too annoying about my love for my wife? I'll jump on a couch right now. I'll do it.
Let me sign in on that one.
But yeah, overall though, it's not a bad send off. I do think that the plane stunt, and this is in the trailer. They're doing stuff where he's hanging off a plane, and they are 5 to 20 feet off the ground, which is no room at all for error.
Right.
And it absolutely is probably the most dangerous thing Tom Cruise has ever actually done.
Yeah.
But somehow it doesn't feel like it. Maybe it did more in IMAX. I'm not sure, but with
that whole scene in particular was the one that really stood out in IMAX.
Okay,
just because it took up the entire screen. That's the one with IMAX cameras,
right?
And you could every engine sound you could hear in that auditorium.
Yeah,
especially when there were certain things that happened toward the end of that scene. That or is you hear all of it very distinctly, and it's pretty cool.
I'm imagining a squish and a crunch.
That fire.
And fire. Yeah, fire's great. I love fire.
Yeah, because there's a whole part where
Fire cleanses. What?
Isai Morales' character keeps inverting the plane and it stalls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it goes really bad.
Yeah. It's like all of the action stuff is good. There's I don't really have any complaints about that. I think Haley Atwell is incredibly charming in these two movies.
I love Haley Atwell.
And
I think I'm the only person that liked Agent Carter.
I never saw it, but I love the character of Agent Carter because Haley Atwell is just so like confident in it, and this is a completely different character, which makes me go like, I think we should have Haley Atwell in a lot more things than we do.
Right.
Also, Harvey Weinstein called her a fat pig at one point, and Harvey,
did you look in the mirror?
right?
Who did?
I can't
Who
believe
should
it.
he be calling a fat pig?
I know. I mean, look at the man's gut. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's
Yeah.
a pig, I mean, stick an apple in his mouth, lay him down on the Thanksgiving table, and everyone would be like, oh, yeah, we're not doing turkey this year. Oh, oink, oink. I'll have some bacon.
Oh, did he end up in Lilo and Stitch?
We'll talk about that later. Anyway, but yeah, I think the rest of the cast is doing a good job. I do think Isai Morales, is that his name?
Yeah, Isai Morales.
Not my favorite Mission Impossible villain. I liked the kind of creepy guy from Rogue Nation the most. I think he was the one that really always stood out to me. Something about his voice and his presence was much more intimidating than Isai
The
Morales.
Rasputin-looking guy?
Yeah. So no, I don't know. And like, as far as I know, Gabriel, the character, does not have any real ties with the IMF necessarily, and it's like he's responsible for Ethan's wife's death, is what it's implied.
Kind of. He seems to be the guy even behind the other bad guys.
But I just don't. I don't know. I don't buy him in the same way that I bought some of the other villains. Like Rogue Nation, okay. I buy that villain. And this guy, I don't know, he's just kind of like...
and that guy continued in Fallout.
Yeah, which also really, really good.
Yeah.
There's more hits than misses in this, and this is not a miss. If you're interested in action movies and you're interested in the nail-biting real stunts and all of that stuff, like it has that in spades. And
better than like the Fast and Furious series at this point.
Gosh, yeah. Now your the love of your life did mention that they need to bring realism back to movies after watching this. So if you're not a suspension of disbelief type person, this may not be the one for you.
I told Jessica, I said, you're not going to this for realism. Come on.
But also, and I think I said this that night. I was like, but this is the one where they do it for real. So I don't know. But if she hates it or thinks it's not realistic, she's entitled to that opinion, and I can't say she's wrong because I mean.
I can. She's wrong.
Who would love Tom Cruise? You know, like that's the part that who trusts Tom Cruise is the real question. Everyone in this movie trusts Tom Cruise 100%. I wouldn't trust him. The man sucks the life force out of babies, allegedly.
I love the guy they brought back from the first one. I was
Bing
so
Rames?
excited. Well, no, the guy at the.
Oh, right. Okay, well, let's get into the spoilers then.
Okay.
All right, spoilers from here on out. So they bring back. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. Well. The guy that was in the Black Vault that he stole the Nautilus off of in number 1.
Yes. It's not Theo Dagus. Darn it. What is this guy's name?
And you find that this guy...
Okay. Rolf Saxon as William Donlow, the CIA analyst who was last seen in the first film being transferred to Alaska.
and they connect those dots pretty well.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has to try to build a hard drive so they can get the coordinates to this down... Russian submarine to get the hard drive out of that, which has the source code to the I want to call it the entity, but it's
it's the entity. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
I had that right.
It's a dumb name.
Yeah,
I can't believe they couldn't come up with something better.
So the whole story to this too. This does continue from Dead Reckoning Part 1. In this one, the entity has now taken over all of cyberspace pretty much around the world.
Basically, yeah. All cyberspace, it's altering all information. It's taking over nuclear silos.
Right. Yeah. So it's shutting down every government's capability to control their nuclear devices until like the clock is running that once the entity has everybody under control, he's going to launch all the bombs, so to speak, and then escape to a underground storage silo.
Yeah, basically, like it's called the Black Vault or something like that. Yeah.
And sit there and kick back and watch all the destruction go off.
And then wait for life to evolve again to do it again, I guess. Like the entity's whole plan makes no sense. Someone wanting to watch the world burn, this plan makes sense. Someone wanting to create their own little utopia where the only people they've selected are safe and they rebuild from there makes sense. An AI just going like, yeah, humans are all bad, so I'll just blow them all up and wait for life to evolve again makes no frickin' sense. I don't get it. How is that the most logical answer? Like why not pick people of certain who showed certain characteristics? If it has all the knowledge of who all these people are in the world, why can't it go like, you don't suck, you come on and get in the Black Vault too? Like, I'll send a plane. Like you can do that. You have control of everything.
That Kittredge is back too. That was in the first one as well, and The Last Dead Reckoning, and also what we find out his assistant, who is John Voight's son from the first one, who was the bad guy, ended up being the bad guy in the first one too. Yeah. So all those interconnections and characters, I still think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too that guy who is played by an actor who looks like he's the dude from Sahara but isn't. So Shea Wiggum plays Jasper Briggs / Jim Phelps Jr. He and Ethan have this moment on the plane where after he's been captured, Ethan tries to, team up with him, and he says, no, go away.
Until this is all over.
Right. And then, so Ethan has this like constant thing happening in front of him where all of his decisions seem to be something that hurts everyone around him. No matter what he tries to do, and all the times he tries to do the right thing, it hurts the people around him. But then also when we look at William Dunlow, everyone when the team that goes out to this island meets William Dunlow, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're the guy from the first movie." And that's not exactly what they say, but this is the gist of it.
Right.
And he, they're like, I mean, we're so sorry that you ended up out here. He's like, no, you don't understand. It saved my life. Like I would have never met the woman I love and all that stuff. And it's just interesting that Ethan doesn't really get to see that himself, except in his team where he's like, we get to live another day because of what we did. But
that's even in the message from the president at the beginning of the film, where she sends that tape to kind of get everybody up to speed on where the story is headed, and that it's because of your team and your actions that the sun rises every day.
But it's also because of you that we have this problem in the first place, because the rabbit's foot was not a biological weapon; it was this.
Yeah.
Although didn't the rabbit's foot like kind of leak and kill somebody too? I don't remember. No one does, because they were weirded out by Tom Cruise on a couch. But yeah, other than that, I mean, let's talk about the stuff that we don't quite love as much. I've already mentioned the kind of exposition dump dialogue that is it's not as slick as it thinks it is. And then there's the submarine scene. So at a certain point,
that's the scene where this movie comes to a grinding halt, in my opinion.
It slows down a lot and also gave me anxiety like almost nothing else.
Oh, because the confinement?
I hate deep water. There is nothing in the world I detest, fear, or anguish over as
get
much.
You to watch Last Breath.
I really like. I could watch it, but I would actually have like a tension headache by the end of it, because being in deep water where you can't see what's coming, terrifying. Sharks? No. No. Also, drowning in that water? No. And then having to be cold on top of all of that? No, thank you, sir. Everything about it is bad.
Well, and even what he has to go through, like the ship every step he makes around the ship starts to give way.
Yep.
and starts to roll down this ledge until it finally rolls off.
Because it's like 500 feet beneath the ocean surface at the beginning, but as he's moving around in it, it's just kind of slowly like breaking through rocks and all the weight shifting. There's only one problem with that whole concept. The pace at which they showed it moving, it should have fallen off that cliff about 8 times by the end of this sequence with the speed they showed it at. If they just cut to it less often, it wouldn't have felt like that. I mean, the fluid simulations and all of the animation that went into that whole thing looks incredible. Like that, no complaints there.
It goes on for about 15 minutes, way too long.
And moving underwater is slow. Moving through a submarine that's flipping around and stuff is slow. I loved the part where he was actually in the sonar ball and the thing's flipping and he has to get out of there before it flips all the way over and he has nowhere to stand anymore. I enjoyed that bit. I liked watching him try to figure out how to get out of some of these situations, but there is a lot of him standing looking bewildered in the submarine. And I'm just like, what are you bewildered by? You can go forward or backward. It's a tube. What are you like? I don't know what to do. Shut up. Yes, you do. And so I think that was the main thing. And that was the thing that over these two movies, especially, I didn't notice it as much in Fallout or whatever.
Because like the main one in Dead Reckoning Part 1 is the train sequence that really, I think, highlights that film, and it's a fantastic sequence.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about one that really breaks the laws of like what humans can survive through, I'd say going through the side of a train with just your leg bones is probably the one that makes me feel a little less like, you survived.
It looked good.
It did. But he did look very bewildered again. I don't know. I just think Tom Cruise like lost his mind somewhere between Fallout and Dead Reckoning because he's not acting as a character anymore. There's no Ethan Hunt anymore. And maybe that's the point. Maybe I'm completely wrong about this, but there's no... It's like they try to do these moments of like levity, especially when he pretends to take the cyanide pill and then kills those two guys, and then he's trying to get her to follow him.
So the whole thing about that sequence is it's obviously not cyanide,
right? So what was it?
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah,
what do you just have a Tic Tac that went wrong?
Does he have Pop Rocks hidden in a tooth at all times? That's a weird thing to have, and
or an Alka-Seltzer.
Maybe so, but it was a false tooth. Like that looked like a molded
you
tooth.
Obviously saw it, but
why would you have fake cyanide? That's not ever been a. Or has he built up an immunity? Like you faced a Sicilian. Like what do you? I don't
know.
Inconceivable. Yeah, I don't know that whole scene. I was just like, I want to have the fun too, but it makes no sense in this scenario, and it's not selling with any of the way that Tom Cruise acts at any other point in the movies.
The fun with that sequence though is hearing like all the smashing and Haley Atwell just kind of opening her eyes a little bit. And, oh my god.
Yeah, that's great. I just think it goes on a little too long with him. Like I mean, they were gonna kill you. Bewildered. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it's a minor criticism. So, like that is a very minor criticism. It was just something I noticed in the moment. I was like, I don't buy it. Whatever.
There could have been a half hour chopped out of this film.
Maybe so. Yeah. I think definitely 15 minutes. And I just, some of it, again, it's a little hokey. It's like they have this whole thing earlier where he goes, what separates a good thief from a great one? She goes, timing. And then that comes back to be the crux of what the whole world is depending on at the end. And is it hokey? Maybe. I don't care. But it is.
And seeing Ving Rhames is always good too. Like him and Simon, I love Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg's fantastic.
And Simon Pegg ends up having to be the leader of the IMF team in this too, because Ethan Hunt's running around the world and he's got to lead actually a small group of people.
Yeah,
and eventually, like the whole thing where they're trying to hook up to the Black Vault and he's shot and they're trying to keep him alive because he's the only one smart enough to explain everything on how everything is supposed to work.
And they're having to like perform emergency lung punctures and all that stuff. Yeah, and his performance is great through all that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all of the stuff with his character. Like
I always like Simon Pegg. And I met the guy once too. He's a really nice guy.
Ah, man, I'd love to work with Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
I think that would be so much fun.
Him and Nick Frost. I went to the premiere of Land of the Dead in Pittsburgh and got the VIP pass because I really love George Romero's zombie film. Rest in peace. And those two have a cameo in that film. And
that's right.
There was a whole lot of like VIPs at the VIP party, but the people that I was most enamored with is the people like that are big in my world, not everybody else's world.
Right.
And Nick Frost and Simon Pegg at the time, like Shaun of the Dead was one of my favorite movies and still is.
That's fantastic.
And they were there and I got to talk with them for like an hour.
I have seen the Cornetto trilogy.
Yes, I have.
1 point for me. Put it on the board.
And good soundtracks for each one of those films.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely. What is that director's name? Dadgummit.
Edgar Wright.
Yeah, Edgar Wright. Knows how to use music like nobody else.
Which I would have loved to have talked to him about if his assistant didn't get my way in Vegas.
Wow. I have never seen someone mine salt from their own brain, but here it is.
I was upset because I really admire the guy.
Yeah, well, there may be another chance. You never know. He's going to make another movie, and you'll be in Vegas again. Still doing stuff in the.
And then Tom Cruise has been traveling across Texas this weekend too. He started off in San Antonio, and then went to Dallas. And I was like, "Well, we're on the way. You could." But I think he was only going to IMAX theaters, and I did see the thing where he was actually hanging with the staff at a theater in New York City for the premiere and talking to them and actually answering their questions and being like a normal human being.
Well, he just had a fresh infusion of baby juice. So
and it was actually kind of refreshing to see all that. So it was like the promo stuff that they put together for this film and put online. I give the marketing team for Paramount a lot of credit. They've done a great job with it.
I will say one thing, though. The little thing that came up before the movie where he's like, I'm so glad you're here in the theater, the way it's supposed to be seen. I could tell he was reading. I could see it. I saw the eyes flicking around.
And then the IMAX one is like, hey, we made this movie for IMAX cameras for people like cinema lovers like you.
It was actually meant to be seen.
Right.
I said it to those other guys, but you're the real special one.
That's almost how it came across.
Tom Cruise is a manipulative son of a gun. Son of a Top Gun. Well, I feel bad for that one.
Hey, he got people to come back to theaters with that one.
That's true.
And Maverick actually isn't a bad movie.
I love it.
And
it's so
I
much
hate
fun.
the original Top Gun. I don't like it at all. I don't think it's that great of a film that
you don't like
makes
oiled up men playing volleyball? That's not your thing?
I can't care.
Surprising.
There was a couple of films like that summer too. I didn't like that one. I still don't like Flashdance. I think that's overrated as well.
Yeah. I met the lead actress from Flashdance.
Oh, Jennifer Beals?
Yeah, her.
Oh.
She is nice.
Okay, that's cool to know that. I like her part. She's in a movie called 4 Rooms that has 4 different directors for each of the stories that's in that.
Oh, interesting.
And she's in one where she's taken captive by a guy with a gun, and it's Tony Proval, I think.
Ah.
And it's really funny.
4 Rooms. You need to add that to the list.
Tarantino's one of the directors. Allison Anders, Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez's one is the best. Because it's 2 kids left alone on New Year's Eve in a hotel room, and they find a dead hooker in the bed.
Oh, no.
and
now, did the children order the hooker, or was that there prior to the children's arrival?
It was there prior to their arrival because the whole thing, they're trying to figure out what smells in that room. And one kid takes off his socks and actually sticks his foot in his mouth. It's kind of funny because it's like 6-7-year-old kids that are left alone on New Year's Eve, and it's really funny.
Yeah, they absolutely suck on their own toes just to see if they could do it. I mean, at 7 years old, you've only had kneecaps for 2 years. Did you know about this?
Really?
That babies don't have kneecaps?
Oh, yeah.
For like the first 5 years of their life, kids, they have like cartilage and stuff, but it's not solidified yet.
Huh.
That way, when they're born, they can just kind of like slither out like some sort of weird gelatinous blob. I know that's probably not how it seems when you're giving birth, but that is why they don't have them.
And then Tarantino's story is guys getting drunk on New Year's Eve, and it all takes place in this hotel.
Surprising he's not the one with the dead hooker.
No. And Tim Roth is the bellboy.
Yep.
Like he's the constant throughout like all of these stories, and
I like Tim
they're
Roth.
really good.
He's fun to watch. I wish we could get more Abomination in the Marvel universe.
I wish too,
but
like that Hulk film was the good Hulk.
It was good. It was actually a lot of fun.
Right.
Too bad
Ed Norton.
About everything that happened after that.
What? I don't understand why he backed out.
He was an incredible pill to work with.
Oh, really?
Gosh, yeah. No, people hate working with Edward Norton, and also Universal hates making good movies. So they did that once, and they said, "Nah, never mind." No, I'm just kidding. I'm picking on all of them equally. I'm an equal opportunity hater. I hate Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers,
Paramount.
HBO, Paramount. What are some of the other? Canon Films. What a disgrace to reality. Neon Pictures. Screw them. Just everyone. Just
A24.
A24. More like A20. Sick burn, by the way. But I'm equal. I'm fair.
Okay.
Solar Flight Productions. What a pile of garbage. You can find us at solarflightpro.com. We do lots of content for small businesses. Please call us. We need your money. Anyway, it's a shameless plug in every way.
Yes, very much so.
Is there anything else you really want to hit on with this, though?
No, it's if you're looking for like the mindless action film over the holiday weekend, this is definitely the one for it.
And it's a good. It's a good movie.
It's a good popcorn film. It really is.
Yeah. And I don't think if you've seen a Mission Impossible movie, you know what you're getting when you go in.
Right.
And this is absolutely delivering on all of that.
Exactly. It's just like I said, the submarine sequence I think really drags a lot more.
Yeah, I think so too. And also just I don't need that kind of stress in my life. Stay out of the water, folks.
I love the whole like suit that he had to go into that though, and then he had to strip it off.
Right, yeah.
To fit through the torpedo tube to get out of that submarine.
That does bring up something that I want to talk about. So after he strips his suit off and floats up to the top of the water and freezes to death, basically. And then he gets put in he gets the bends. That looks horrible, by the way.
Yeah.
Ouch. But then he wakes up in the decompression chamber that they moved out onto the ice. That whole thing felt like a dream sequence.
It was supposed to.
But it wasn't.
Right.
And I couldn't quite tell, like, why did they have this whole thing about her trying to say, like, you should have control over the entity? Because that also comes around at the end. Like, she literally hands him the entity on a 5D quantum drive.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't immediately destroy it, even though that was what he said should happen.
Maybe that's where the next one will...
I don't understand.
If there is a next one.
That's the thing, is like it leaves it open in that way, and we would have been quite remiss to not discuss this.
Yeah.
It leaves it open in that way. Why doesn't he take that? Because they make a point about saying it's very fragile. Why doesn't he pick it up and crush it and drop it in the fountain?
Just in his hand, because he could do that very easily.
Yeah. Why keep it around? This thing is the most dangerous thing we've seen in all of these movies. Why doesn't he immediately destroy it? Why doesn't he? Because she gives it to him, and she gives him that look like, I trust you with this over anyone else in the entire world. Ethan Hunt, you're the most trustworthy person. Even if you jump on a couch, I will follow you and jump on that same couch. Why doesn't he follow through with what he said and destroy it?
Yeah.
I don't understand that, and I don't think there's any real, like, and maybe I'm media illiterate. I'm fully aware that that could be true, but why doesn't he destroy it? Why don't they explain that? And why leave it open except to make that a threat in the future? That's the only possible reason as a
right
storytelling device to do that, is to have it be it. But then you have to do the same thing again. So
it's just the Final Reckoning Part 2.
Do you think that's the plan?
I hope
maybe
not.
It's Dead Reckoning Part 2, and that comes after the Final Reckoning, just to confuse you.
Last thing I do want to mention, Angela Bassett is the president.
She's great.
I do like her.
Yeah.
So that's another good performance.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Nick Offerman looks weird without a beard.
And like trying to be a straight guy too. That was really odd.
Why does he have the foresight to get that guy's firearm? Is it because she says someone will panic and try to stop you? No, he wasn't in the room. Was he?
I think
maybe he was.
I couldn't tell. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. You've seen it twice. What is your excuse?
Yeah. have a bad memory.
But yeah, overall though, good stuff. You want to move on to Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah, let's move on to Lilo and Stitch.
Okay, Lilo and Stitch. This is the live action remake that has been done. And Andy, good, bad, great, or terrible. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was great. It was very hard for me not to like this film, and I really wanted to hate it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was hoping for Snow White Part 2. That I could throw all my hate energy into this film. I couldn't. The girl that plays Lilo is just so adorably cute.
Yeah.
And the fact that there was people in this that were voices from the original one. So the people that made this film obviously had a love for the original one, that they just updated it into the live action and not really like retelling the story. There were some stuff that was missing from the cartoon that I wish was in there, but I can kind of understand why they didn't do it. It was supposed to be a little more on the human aspect and the connection between, Lilo and Stitch. Mm-hmm. I thought it was great. I laughed a lot during it. I thought it was really cute and funny. And Disney, yeah, you guys did a good job with this one. I really, really enjoyed it.
Stitch looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And I loved the little addition of the scene where they're fighting with the soda fountain guns. And I think there's some stuff in there that and controversial. I actually like the addition of David's mom yelling at him. No, David, that's enough. Shut up. Like that.
And she was a voice in the original one too.
Oh, who did she play?
I don't remember. I had read that she was in the, but I don't remember who she was.
Let me see if I can find her because she's Mrs. Keiko. No, that's Tia Carrere. She was Nani
in the original one, and then Nani's boss, who is Jason Scott Lee, was the voice of David in the original one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And Jason Scott Lee he's not in this film a whole lot, unfortunately, just because I always thought he was a really good actor. He did a couple of films that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Mm-hmm. I always thought that was really good.
I played the video game that came out around the same time of that.
Oh, really?
I played as Bruce Lee.
Oh.
So technically, I'm a martial arts master.
And then,
I don't mean to brag, but
he was in a World War II epic with Anne Perlot called Map of the Human Heart that I always thought was really good.
I didn't even heard of that.
Yeah, no, not a shock.
Don't make me spit take on my computer. So her name is Amy Marie Hill, and in the original, she was Mrs. Hasagawa, who I think is the old lady who sprays all the flowers.
Oh, yeah.
In the original Lilo and Stitch. We get some recasts. Zach Galifianakis is Dr. Jumba.
I thought he was great.
And then Billy Magnuson is Pleakley. Billy Magnuson, I've seen him in a couple of things, and I remember being like, yeah, he's all right. I mean, he's been very active since 2009. He was in Aladdin. He was Prince Anders in that. Let's see, The Many Saints of Newark. Oh, he was in No Time to Die. I still haven't seen that one.
Oh, who was he in that?
He was Logan Ash, whoever that is.
I don't
know either. He was in Roadhouse. He was in Spy Kids Armageddon.
Which that new one with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Ingrid Goes West. Oh, he was in Game Night. That's what I know him from. Game Night was really good.
Yeah, that was.
It was
Ingrid
just
Goes
fun.
West is pretty funny too, even though it's Aubrey Plaza.
But yeah, so he's been in a bunch of stuff. I've seen him pop up in like TV shows and stuff too. I generally like Billy Magnuson.
Courtney P. Vance is Cobra Bubbles, Agent Cobra Bubbles.
Yeah, so I know this guy's face. I'm trying to remember what I saw him from.
He's been in a bunch of films. He was in Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Office.
Terminator Genesis. That's what it was. No, I'm just kidding.
Not a good example.
He was in The Mummy. Speaking of Tom Cruise, screaming on a plane.
I avoided that. Just because I like the ones with Brendan Fraser so much, I never would bother with that thing.
I forgot to send you the trailer where they officially released a trailer with no soundtrack except for Tom Cruise screaming in the airplane as it goes down. It is one of the most incredible blunders I've ever seen in my life. So good.
And Office Christmas Party he was in too.
And Final Destination 5.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently he was Agent Jim Block, which is an incredible name. I'm Jim Block. Okay. So And Hannah Waddingham, it was the voice of the Grey Councilwoman, who originally I don't think was voiced by Hannah Waddingham. She was
Hannah Waddingham was in the Final Reckoning.
Also in Final Reckoning, for almost no reason.
Yeah.
Like they're like, we got Hannah Waddingham, everybody. Remember, she was in Ted Lasso. And then she sits down and she goes, "Do you know what this note means?" "Well, if I did help you, how do you know you would be able to make it work?" "Oh, okay,
she
done."
held her British accent very well because her accent is very pronounced and you couldn't even tell.
It was really weird hearing her talk with an American accent. I can't remember who played the Grand Councilwoman. But
then there's
Zoe Caldwell. Okay,
Gantu was not in this one.
Gantu's not in this. Yeah,
which that's when I was kind of like,
It was. So I found some video of the directors talking about that, and they said that they worked on it for a little bit and considered it, but it was just one of those things that didn't work in live action.
Okay, so then that's good that they just decided to cut it then.
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure if it was a budget decision. The budget on this was $100 million, which quite lower than a lot of most recent stuff.
The grosses of that
341 million as of recording on Memorial Day. They've made their money back.
It's already outgrossed the first one.
It's crazy how over the top people are with this movie. Like, they are showing up in droves.
See, and that's the reason why I want to hate it.
A Mission Impossible on a budget of 300 to 400 million. 204 million in the same time period.
Yeah, so that might
isn't that crazy?
Considered a box office failure.
I mean, that's just from the first weekend though. So they'll probably hit. I mean, well, they'd have to hit 800 million to make it make sense.
Probably. Has it been released globally yet, or is it just domestic?
So May 5th in Tokyo, May 23rd United States. So I guess maybe it hasn't had a worldwide release date. Yeah. Well, Tokyo, that doesn't mean forever. I mean, all over the place. It screened at the Cannes Film Festival, which is interesting. Internationally, it was released theatrically in Australia, New Zealand, Philippines, India, and South Korea on May 17th. Oh, they actually got it at the same time, I guess. So it is out everywhere. So that may end up being a box office bomb.
Yeah.
Even with those numbers, $200 million in the first weekend, you failed.
Joker fully wish it had those numbers.
I'm glad it did not. I'm glad it was number 2. It made $2, and it is a number 2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's poop. It's poop joke.
Yep.
High class comedy. But yeah, overall, I'd say for a live action Disney film. Which generally are pretty disappointing, to give it a good.
Yeah, they've had more bad than good, in my opinion, with that. So
absolutely.
This one definitely hit the mark for them, which they really needed because their live action division was in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Kids will enjoy this. It's very goofy. It's very funny. It's easy to understand. The actress who plays Lilo is a lot of fun. I think she does a great job, and I love that she's just a kid.
Right.
And she's allowed to just be a kid. And I like that a lot. Like, they're not trying to make an older person play a younger person or whatever. Like, she's exactly right for the age she's at.
Right. And the girl that plays Nani in this is really good too.
Yeah, I think she's good too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that's my objective review.
Okay. My
personal review, having a major attachment to this movie, the original movie, and watching this and sitting down and seeing all that play out in live action, I have to give it a terrible. I hate this movie. No, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I've been holding it back because I wanted to give a unbiased review. But if I could actually go track down every single piece of data that shows this movie and destroy it, I would, with my own hands.
Why?
Because it sucks all of the joy, life, and actual story out of the originals. Jumba should not be the main villain. Jumba is an orphan who made something to destroy as a way to lash out. That's his whole thing. And then through Stitch, he's supposed to learn what family is, and that even this thing he created to be evil can come to have this family. Then he becomes part of the family by the end of the first movie. Ripping that away from that character and making him the main thing. Also, Gantu doesn't work in live action. Cowards. You're cowards. Screw you. You made Jumba a hairy potato. Honestly, one of the most godforsaken images I've ever looked at in my entire life. I would rather have boiling hot water poured into my corneas than ever look at that thing again. And instead of having a big, angry, deep-voiced guy who's running around trying to clean up the mess that Jumba and Pleakley have left behind, you just have wimpy little Zach Galifianakis voice. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all for me. It's it should have the slightly Russian accent. It should be slightly culturally inappropriate in the way that he approaches things. Pleakley should not be an idiot. He should be scared of Jumba. Pleakley's an idiot in this movie. It's unbelievably bad. I hate it. 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 Cobra Bubbles should not be a second. Why split the character? What? Because you want to have the girl who voiced Nani have a role in the movie? Have her play one of the shopkeepers who tells Nani to get lost. Don't split the. Cobra Bubbles was supposed to be an ex-CIA agent who had saved the world from aliens before. That's how the whole movie works out in the end. And they just throw that away so he can look around and be like, I have a mustache now. Stupid. Stupid. I hate it. I cannot believe what they did. The portal gun is a fun gag, but you know what? It causes way, way, way too many problems with how did they not get him before? It just creates plot holes. That's an issue. That makes absolutely no sense. And the pacing issues, my God, Andy, the pacing issues on this movie. I'm sorry, I'm spitting. The first movie does not waste any time in setting up Stitch's escape. But this still feels like it's going, yeah. It's so infuriating watching that scene because they cut out. Here's a great example. The joke where they go, he took the red one. They just cut immediately after that. There's no time for it to breathe. The joke doesn't land. They actively work against the entire idea of humor in most of these scenes because the editing is such utter garbage that I cannot enjoy a single moment of the movie before it tries to jump onto the next TikTok moment. And I freaking hate that. I hate it so freaking much. And the whole setup has no pacing that works, and then it slows way the frick down to try and add more depth, quote unquote, according to the director, to the story between Lilo and Nani. It's worse. It's actively worse because instead of seeing Nani hurting for her little sister as much as she's annoyed with her, we see her just worried about the situation. And so when they have the emotional moments, it doesn't sell. It doesn't sell at all to me. I call bullcrap. I call bullcrap in that hammock. And there's no blue punch buggy. Stitch never has a chainsaw. Why on earth do his eyes not glow green when he jumps out of the spaceship at the beginning? That's an iconic moment. That moment changed my life. And you know what they did in here? He just stands up and goes, I have nothing going on behind these black balls. And Stitch attaches to Lilo too soon. He immediately almost becomes a part of the family rather than it being him obviously trying to use Lilo. He's not using her. At the beginning, at the first moment, sure. But after that, it's almost immediately, there's no character growth. He just flip-flop. If I wanted flip-flops, I'd look elsewhere in Hawaii, okay? Because I'm pretty sure I could find them elsewhere. All right? Like on the beach. Not sitting in a movie theater watching my entire childhood get ripped apart by people who don't understand how to tell a story and don't understand pacing and don't understand for even a single moment that Stitch needs to have a character arc. It was fine, though.
To go all the way around to say that you hated that much, but you still liked it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, I actually genuinely, I think objectively, I have to say, yeah, kids will like it. That's why I say good. Parents, there's nothing objectionable in the movie. I love that about it. But honestly, Zach Galifianakis is so incredibly miscast that it actually ruins. You can't tell the difference between Pleakley and Jumba's voices.
I don't think he's that badly miscast. I could barely recognize that it was him. If it wasn't for the voice, I wouldn't have known that it was him.
Right, but that's the thing is his voice. You could have easily cast him as Pleakley, and it would have made more sense. His voice is not fit. Evil genius.
I wish they would have gone with
little baby boy
with the original guy that played Pleakley, Kevin. I want to say O'Donnell.
Let me look that up.
He's from Kids in the Hall, and he was in Sky High.
Oh yeah.
Like, why didn't they use? Like, I know he's gotten older now, but if you're generally gonna like cloak him, like as they did in this, you still could have got him and made it believable.
Right.
And they
He's
got
the perfect voice for that. And his face is perfect for it, too.
The thing that I didn't understand why they got rid of was the whole thing with the mosquitoes.
Okay, this is what Hannah brought up. This is why she was mad at it. The whole reason that he loves Earth is because he's fascinated with the mosquitoes. And having that scene in the original where he's like, they like me. They really like me. And they tickles. And then the scream into the air. Like, they took out some of the best jokes to put in crap that I don't even remember, except sitting there going, this is not as funny as you think it is, and I'm embarrassed for you.
I did like the thing with the CD player and throwing it into the car.
Yes, that was great. And like I said, I did like the moment where she's like, I'm going to give you to the count of 3 to put that down. 1 splash. Perfect timing. That's the only joke that had perfect timing. Everything else they ruined.
I was still surprised at the whole, do we even get into spoilers at this point? Or
yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care.
Because the part where like Nani actually gives up Lilo to the state was kind of surprising.
Yeah, okay. Again, completely ruins the whole character. Ohana means not forgetting about yourself too.
Well, they kind of even brush over Ohana a little bit.
Exactly.
It's mentioned a little bit, but not as much as it was in the original.
Yeah, when she brings it up and says Ohana means family and family means no one gets left behind, we get a gag about her getting hit in the face with the freezer door, which is funny, but it completely undercuts the reality of the emotion that's supposed to be in that scene. There's no connection to it because instead we're supposed to go, funny door hit lady in face. No.
But all these people,
I will die on this hill. Lilo and Stitch is a travesty.
all these people going to see it, I haven't heard a single complaint from anybody.
Yeah, because the general audiences are stupid, Andy.
Well,
they're idiots.
Yeah, we know this.
I know I'm media illiterate and also just regular illiterate, but these people are blind. If you like this movie, I have nothing against you.
I was going to say, because I really didn't mind this, but like, I wish there was the punch buggy scene. Yeah. But I guess they just couldn't make that work either. But
oh no, they could have, but they're cowards. And I stand by that. And look, I will never work with any of these people because I'll never work in Hollywood because I don't suck the life out of babies. But allegedly, but but yeah, like I on this one, I gotta completely disagree. I think Zach Galifianakis is not only the wrong person to play Jumba, but the character of Jumba is so utterly mutilated through this. And I'm sorry, but you're adapting a known story. And taking out the ugly duckling thing, was it on the nose in the original? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Was it important? You bet your blue butt it was.
That was the other thing that I kind of missed too.
Why am I more fired up about this than literally anything else I've ever talked about? I'm sorry for yelling at you. I feel very passionate about it.
I'm always captivated by cute little aliens. And
I mean, I do like the little thing where the one alien just wants to blow the planet up, and Hannah Waddingham's like, "What an adorable little psychopath." But again, they cut away too quick before you can have a moment.
But wasn't there that scene in the original one too, where something is about to blow up and they keep passing it back and forth to each other?
Yeah, the gun. He never stops his gun up with a carrot. It's like, no, Merry Christmas. Like there's none of that stuff because because Jumba can't be fun because he's not. He's an antagonist in the original, but he's not a villain.
Who would you have got to play that role then?
To play Jumba?
Yeah.
Okay, off the top of my head, I mean, just anyone with a deep enough voice. You know, you need someone who I would have loved if could have been Jonathan Rhys Davies. That would have been perfect.
Okay.
And also, they should not have had human skin costumes. I want to see Pleakley in drag the way it was meant to be. They're horrifying, but commit to it.
I still liked it.
I know why they had to do it, because it's a budget cut thing. Have the human actor instead of doing the animation.
So the thing that was different that they showed us in Vegas on this, rather than the final theatrical cut, when the scene where Lilo puts Stitch's finger on the record and opens his mouth, and this was actually funnier what they showed us in Vegas, like it plays the Imperial March from Star Wars. Actually, I thought that was better than the Elvis thing. So I was like, well, why did they change that from Vegas to here? It didn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's something minor, but the Star Wars reference honestly was funnier than Elvis. And
Yeah,
I know,
and that's
if
the other
you're-
thing is like the Elvis obsession is like mentioned, but it's gone. Like it was such a huge part of Lilo's character.
Yeah,
And they kind of take that away. And also, this is a story note, not a note about the young actress playing Lilo. But Lilo is not unhinged enough for people to be calling her weird. She's not weird. She feeds a fish a sandwich, and that's the weirdest thing she does in the whole movie. There's no reason for all the other girls to
hate her,
treat her as an outcast. So the whole thing is just like everyone hates Lilo, and it's like because she let out some chickens, but she didn't do that to a child. She did that to a grown-up's chickens.
Right.
So the grown-up's not the one pushing her down on the stage and stuff, or bumping her and saying, no one's ever going to show up for you. Like it's, and also the people who are playing the bullies are so bad at their line deliveries, they can't show their face when they're doing the line deliveries. So you cannot connect with the bullies as a bully character. It's just a disembodied voice.
Well.
Also, and this is really the most egregious, oh my God, you couldn't get a better take than that. The guy who says, don't even think about trying to escape, little alien. It's coded to your genetic code, blah, 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 blah. In the original, it's a threat. In this one, it's a man trying to read out of a book for the first time in his life. It is the worst line delivery I've ever seen in a movie. It's god awful.
Yeah, but it's Disney.
They had $100 million. Do take two. Try something.
They didn't need to. That was the whole thing.
It's embarrassing. Like it's legitimately, and like I said, I know I have a personal attachment to this movie, to the original, but it is also, I think, fundamentally from a storytelling standpoint, it is worse in every single possible way from the original to this. It has added stuff and gotten longer while also rushing through things with a pace that says, we don't know what we're doing. And it takes away Nani's main thing not being keeping Lilo at the end, but instead being go off to college and stuff. It's like, I guess it's supposed to be this empowerment message, but it takes away from the message of family.
Yeah, I will have to agree with you on that. I thought that was a little off on that too.
And
but I still liked it. I still was enjoyed. I still laughed.
I will never watch this again on purpose.
I probably
at
will.
least. I will go back and watch the original every year, as I always have.
Okay.
Because it's fantastic. And also the fact that Lilo never puts a pickle in a jar with a face on it and says, my friends need to be punished. Travesty.
But they did have the little like odd doll that she had that
Yeah.
was like stitched together.
Yeah. I don't know. I know I'm being way too critical of a Lilo and Stitch movie, but that first one is so good. And this just is not that.
I do like the original one too, but I still like this one. Will I probably go back and watch the cartoon more than this one? Yeah. But I still liked it.
Also, the Hawaiian roller coaster ride scene where like the camera's never in a place where you can connect with what's going on with the characters. Really, it seems like most of it was shot from the shore. I don't know if that was a budget constraint or whatever, but like figure out how to do it on a green screen where I can see the actors reacting to what Stitch is doing for more than 2 seconds. Like that was a big emotional connection moment in the original, and in this one, it just reads like sports footage.
No.
Sorry. I know that wasn't what you were expecting.
You're entitled to your opinion. I didn't know what to expect, so
I honestly, I thought maybe I should just not mention any of this, but the moment we started talking about it, I was like, hold it together, because I was so angry leaving the theater.
Kind of like when you mentioned Ted Sarandos to me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is my Ted Sarandos.
But people are flocking, and I mean flocking to theaters to see this thing.
Yeah.
And I know there's people that have come this weekend like more than once.
I'm going to write Disney on a pickle and put it in a jar and send a video to the Disney executives and go, my big conglomerate needs to be punished. But yeah, people are enjoying it. And look, if you enjoy it, I'm jealous of you more than anything because I couldn't enjoy from the word go. It was like, you've screwed up the pacing on this so bad, I can't enjoy this. And it really set the tone from the beginning that I was not going to have a good time. And most of the time I didn't. It got a couple of genuine laughs out of me, but it sucked a lot of the joy out of that original movie. and it's not because it's live action. It's because of the story choices they made. I really think that's the stuff that made me actually angry. Was you've sucked away the heart of it.
Well, it's the same guy that made the cartoon that made this, isn't it?
No. So this is directed by a man.
The guy that does Stitch's voice is the one that directed it.
So yeah, Chris Sanders is the voice of Stitch, and I want to say he directed the first one. Yeah. So him and Don Dubois were the directors of the original. This is directed by a guy named Dean Fleischer Camp, who directed an experimental conceptual documentary film called Fraud, and then a animated live action stop motion animated mockumentary film called Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Oh, I saw that. I like that.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
I mean, that might be good. I don't know. Maybe I like his work when it's not connected to a story that was already good and didn't
Marcel,
need to be screwed up.
the Shell with Shoes was more an original idea. It wasn't a remake of anything.
He's now attached to direct an adaptation of the Jetsons, so I look forward to him butchering yet another thing in the near future.
Well, even the last animated one they did in the 90s
Not
where
good.
Tiffany was the voice of Judy, that was bad.
Yeah.
And Universal was banking on that being like a big draw for that too. That didn't work.
I don't think it's going to work this time either.
Are they,
but
so
they put on from the director of Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, people
there you go.
So are they doing that as a live action one, or is it going to be another cartoon?
Looks like it's going to be. Not a lot of information here. It's not even technically announced yet. Just that it's an adaptation that's in the works. So I don't know. It could be. I don't think the Jetsons would work in live action. It looks too goofy. And if you do it, you're just going to have to copy the Fallout stuff, but not do the aging.
Yeah.
So, they've already...
But yet they've done live action Flintstones, which was generally the same thing as the Jetsons.
That was real bad.
Well,
especially the one where they went to Rock Vegas.
Yeah, that one's where they didn't even have anybody from the original one.
I didn't think it could get worse than watching Rosie O'Donnell, but it did. It did.
Yeah. Because I think Barney in the second one is Stephen Baldwin.
That is correct, yes.
And unfortunately, Mark Eddy got casted as Fred.
Yeah.
And he's a good actor. I do like him.
Bad movie, though.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that paycheck, cashed.
I'm sorry I was so loud about Lilo and Stitch.
It's all right. My whole family ran back away from you now because you scared the heck out of all of them.
I'm sorry. It really, it got me. Oh. Okay, I'm okay now, though. I'm okay. Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right, we're okay.
I'm not the one that, my veins were popping out of my neck.
I actually thought I was going to develop a headache there for a second.
It looked like it.
I'm so sorry. But I did feel that way.
Anyway, Garrett and I will have to disagree. I liked it. I think it's not a horrible choice to put
your
movie.
kids are going to love it.
Right.
Absolutely. But your kids are dumb.
I just hate these 50-year-old women wearing Stitch shirts.
What?
Oh, yeah. All the...
Do they have a fan club? Can I join? Can I be the leader of it?
I could say something much worse to this, but I will keep it PG rated. I'll tell you off mic what I really think.
Oh, a little bit of sizzle for me later, and only me. All right. Well, then let's jump into news then.
Okay, let's do news. You'll get me fired up.
So you're giving Stitch a great, by the way,
yes,
right? And I'm officially giving it a good. On a personal note, worst piece of garbage I've ever watched in my entire life, and actually made me wish that I could go back and re-experience Star Wars Episode 9 so I could feel better.
You didn't see Snow White.
I did not. But I also have no attachment to Snow White, so maybe it would have been it's whatever, who cares? But also, I did reference Snow White when we came out of Lilo and Stitch. I was like, no, it's not directed by the same guy. And evidently so. And you gave me this look like, okay, I think you hated it. But all right, let's do the news. I am putting a marker there so I don't forget to write that down. There was going to be a Man of Steel 2 directed by Christopher McQuarrie. Did you know about this?
Yeah, I did, but I just kind of brushed it aside.
I had no idea that this was ever going to happen. But
because it was supposed to have Henry Cavill,
and it was going to revolve around a conflict with Green Lantern.
Yeah,
which is really interesting. So this was Christopher McQuarrie. He was talking to Someone.
I
It
still
doesn't
think
say here.
the one Superman that just is the most fascinating to me is the Nicolas Cage one.
Right?
That Kevin Smith was supposed to direct at one point.
What's absolutely insane about this story is that the guy, one of the producers, I can't remember who it was, came to Kevin Smith and told him he can't fly. I don't want to see the underwear, and he has to fight a giant spider at the end.
Yeah.
Do you know where that ended up? That idea?
In the trash.
Wild Wild West.
Oh,
I'm not kidding. I believe it was the same producer, and that was how we got a giant mechanical spider in Wild Wild
There's
West.
a bad movie.
Oh my God. It's so bad, but that's one of those ones that I will go and watch sometimes just to laugh because
Nah,
it's
I can't
so
even do
ridiculous.
That. No,
But I
because
saw it on like Spike TV.
here's my generational gap for you. I was raised on the TV show, and I loved the TV show.
Okay, yeah.
I thought the TV show was fantastic. It was James Bond before James Bond.
So Wild Wild West is your Lilo and Stitch.
Right. But that thing with even like Kevin Kline and Selma Hayek, who I really like, and I really even like Will Smith,
Yeah.
that movie's just, or Kenneth Branagh, it's god awful.
There is nothing redeemable about the entire film, and I find it fascinating.
And Miguelito Lovelace was like the ultimate bad guy in the TV show. In the movie, it's just so comical and stupid.
So dumb. What is Kenneth Branagh doing? What is he doing in that movie?
Hopefully he took the money that he got from that to finance Thor.
I guess he must.
Because initially when Thor was going to be coming out and released and he was behind it, I was like, Thor was not one of my favorite comic book characters when I was a kid, so I really wasn't that interested.
Yeah.
And then I listened to an interview that Kenneth Branagh did on NPR about making the film and the research he did behind it, and he really sounded like he took his time and carefully like worked with the Marvel people to get that story right.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'll watch it.
The story's not bad. The eyebrows are terrible. They did not need to dye his eyebrows blonde. The real problem with that is that no one has ever bought Kenneth Branagh a level. No one's ever given him one for Christmas. Nothing, because the camera is tilted 35 degrees 95% of the way through that movie, and he thinks it's level. I hate that movie. Made me hate the Dutch angle. Like legitimately, that movie. I was like, level the freaking camera. I get it. The thing is tall. Shoot up at it, but stop turning it sideways. I'm getting sick. It actually gave me like vertigo for a second, a couple of times watching it. I was just like, this is bad. This feels because it felt like Batman and Robin. It felt like that. Like it's a comic book movie. Don't take it too seriously. Joel Schumacher, shut up. Shut up.
Saying to the grave of Joel Schumacher since he's dead.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well, then I got my way. He stopped talking. I didn't wish him death. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I will not cut it.
You need to retract that.
Nah, what's he going to do? Come fight me?
There are some.
He's not Uwe Boll, who's still alive.
With his Dark Knight coming out.
Yeah, also, I do feel bad, though. I'm sorry, Joel Schumacher. But
Joel Schumacher did some good films. Like,
just not Batman and Robin.
Well, it's not a good film. I will say that, but for some reason, I don't mind watching it.
It is.
It's not the one that I go to in that the first four. Like, honestly, the one that I go to most of the time is the second one. Batman Returns.
That was the one with the penguin, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the one actually. Like, I like Jack Nicholson and everything in the first one, but that whole thing with Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito in the second one, The Winter and Christopher Walken, and that movie just seems
I'm starting to get a fully rounded view of you as a human being right now. Because when you say Michelle Pfeiffer, what you mean is latex catsuit.
Well,
when the latex catsuit and Danny DeVito were talking is what you're.
I'm not attracted to Michelle Pfeiffer in any way, shape, or form. But
she's a very sharp woman.
That second movie, I could never understood why Warner Brothers kicked Tim Burton off of that to do.
Because he didn't want to do whatever crazy crap they tried to get him to do. He wanted to do darker, and they wanted him to do Happy Meal toys, and he said no, and they said get out.
That's wrong.
That's the whole story, man. It really is. They wanted McDonald's toys. And his stuff was too dark. So when kids got the McDonald's toys for Batman Returns and then saw the movie and were scarred, Oh, it caused major panic at the studio. And they were like, you got to pull it back. And he was like, no. And they were like, do it. And he was like, no. And they were like, okay.
But I like to.
And then
I
they
like
grabbed
Tim
him by
Burton
the ear and he...
more than you do.
Which, Tim Burton?
Yeah.
I came around on him a little bit, especially with Big Eyes. I love Big Eyes. I think that's a great
Big Eye.
movie.
Like that's and it's one of the films that he's not recognized for at all, but it's a fantastic movie.
Really good. And Beetlejuice I enjoyed. So I've come around on him a little bit,
Ed
but
Wood
as a
is-
kid especially, I was like, I don't
Ed
like
Wood
this
is-
creepy weird dude.
Ed Wood is still one of my favorites. I love that film.
I need to see Ed Wood.
I just black and white. Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, I need to see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Green Lantern was going to be the of Christopher McCoy's thing.
Okay.
And he said the whole concept of Green Lantern is that the ring has to be recharged. Yes, you have infinite power, but you only have so much battery life, which can run out at inconvenient times. That, for me, solved the whole Green Lantern problem. The costume is another thing.
As they found out with the one with Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. Oh, that was bad. So Michael Douglas, what'd you think about the man? You like him?
I worked on one of his movies.
That's right, you did. I keep forgetting
Wonder
about that.
Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Did you think he was good in there?
Quantumania is just not a great film to
Sure.
base that on, so it's very hard to say.
Okay. Did you not see the other two Ant-Mans that he was in?
I've seen all the Ant-Mans. I
Okay.
just don't really. Quantumania is the one that stands out because it was so bad.
Yeah.
But
He may not be returning to the MCU at all as Hank Pym. He's actually talking about retirement now, which
Yeah.
he survived cancer, didn't he? Like
he did.
Yeah, which is just good for him. Incredible.
No, because he had dinner with all of us that were part of the crew for Wonder Boys and like talked to all of us. And
cool.
he was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And I always will remember him from Wall Street. And
Mm-hmm.
I love him. I just watched with my wife War of the Roses since the remake of that is coming out at the end of summer, The Roses, which looks phenomenal.
There's no war in it?
No, it's just called The Roses, but it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
Did the Planet of the Apes steal it?
It's Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, and I think
That's
they're
right. Yeah,
so
that does look good.
It's based on that movie.
Okay.
But then the other two that Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas did, Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile, I'm still fans of those. I really like those.
Romancing the Stone is such a legendary movie for so
Yeah.
many reasons. Haven't seen it.
Really?
I really haven't, no.
It's like that came out the summer right before Indiana Jones did.
Right,
the
yeah.
Temple of
And he
Doom.
looks exactly the same costume-wise.
But it's a Robert Zemeckis film.
I do like Robert Zemeckis. He's
So,
such a weirdo. I love him.
It's his like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay, yeah.
But very much more based in reality.
And it
than-
has like it's called Romancing the Stone, but does it have a romance plot in it between him
Yeah.
and, is it Kim Basinger?
No, it's
No.
Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen Turner. You
Kathleen
said that
Turner,
already.
Michael Douglas.
Yeah. You know what? My opinion on Lilo and Stitch is completely wrong because I can't even remember words you said 2 minutes ago.
And there is a stone in it too.
Okay, well, you had me at rock. I love rock.
So the whole thing they're after is an emerald about the size of your fist that's shaped like a heart.
Oh, now.
And trying to get that in South America.
I would take that rock out to dinner. I'd romance that stone. I tell you what.
There
I'd be
is
putting
this-
on all the moves. I'd be like, is that a gleam in your eye or are you just multifaceted?
But- Yeah, he was a cool guy. I like him.
Nothing on that. That's fine.
If he doesn't return to the MCU, that's fine by me.
Yeah, he said he's still producing. He says if something good comes up that I really like, but I don't feel a burning desire, I'm still producing. I still love bringing people together. So,
Well, not to mention he's married to Catherine Zeta-Jones.
is he really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow, I forgot about that. But you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
He didn't need to do anything else.
I also would want to stay home. So there were rumors floating around. I didn't report on this last week, but there were rumors floating around that Michael Bay was going to be making a Skibbity toilet movie.
Yeah.
He said, "What the f? What are you talking about?" He says, "You know how mom and dad have always told you don't believe everything you read. I went on the internet last night, and there's stuff about me directing something. I know what I'm directing, but it's not the thing they keep talking about. There's not one in that little pile that says Skibbity. So let's just stop the lore right now. Okay, you're hearing it from me." And I love that. I love that one, that was a thought that someone had to bring up as a lie. The fact that it spread at all means none of us take Michael Bay seriously.
Really fast, yeah.
Really fast. And I love that he was incensed by it. But this is the man who also made The Last Night, so embarrassing.
Or Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain, or many other things. That
opening night CinemaCon the one year, and that's what they opened with, was a screening of that. And we couldn't leave. We were so tired from like jet lag that day too, and that movie just didn't do it. That film's awful.
Yeah, I remember watching the trailer for it and being so incredibly turned off by the idea of even sitting down to watch it.
It's based on a true story.
Well, see, the true story is actually interesting. I have heard a podcast talking about it.
Okay.
And the true story is like, wow, what a bunch of meathead weirdos.
Right.
And it's fun to listen to. But the style of, while Michael Bay might have been the right person to tell that story, to get it across in the way that these two idiots would have seen the world, it's also incredibly obnoxious, because these are grease monkeys who instead of doing something useful with their life, when I say grease monkeys, I mean they have the intelligence and attitude of a mechanic without the intelligence of the mechanic. Yeah. Like, mechanics are by and large incredibly smart people who absolutely will break your spirit if you try to talk to them. If you ever spend 5 minutes in an actual like quick lube shop, those guys have destroyed each other's lives and built them back up 10 times in 5 minutes. They're sack tapping. They're planting stuff in the cars to mess with the other people. They're sitting there with a little air blower, and every time someone tries to like pull the cap off the thing, they blow air through the other end of the system and blow oil all over your face. They're just monkeys playing around with toys. But that's what that movie was. It was grease monkey territory, and I wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah, smart move.
Yeah,
I got forced to.
I'm very sorry for that.
That's my excuse.
Yeah, I had to do it for work.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Scarlett Johansson has talked about possibly helming an MCU flick of her own.
Yeah, since she can't act in one.
Because she did.
Yeah.
In the movies, not for real. Not like...
Yeah. I'm still looking forward
Joel
to
Schumacher.
Jurassic World with her.
I am too. That every time I see the trailer, I'm like, this looks like the kind of dumb fun a Jurassic World movie
2 hours
should be.
and 14 minutes.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's enough time for a few dinosaurs.
Yep.
I like it.
Eating a bunch of people.
I remember watching the trailer on this last on
Mission Impossible.
On Mission Impossible, and I looked over. He was like, "Does this look good? I think it might look good."
I don't think it looks bad.
And I'm so cynical about it, but I think it looks like it could be fun.
I think it's easy to be cynical about this because it's definitely Universal's cash grab for the summer.
Right, yeah. And the last one was very much like, oh, I can see what you're doing here, and it's very thin.
Right.
You know?
So going off into another direction with this is probably the smartest thing they can do.
Yeah.
And Masala Ali being in it, I think, is actually good casting. I do like him. I think he's a great actor.
You think he's playing Blade?
No. There's
only one blade. There's only ever going to be one blade.
I wish we had enough money. I'd finance that film myself.
But didn't she? She recently had her first film debut as a director, I think. I can't remember. Eleanor the Great. That's what she directed. So she has directed a movie now, and
I did not know that.
It's earned praise for the lead, June Squibb, which JoBlo.com says, which we are absolutely here for, which is embarrassing. Learn how to report like an adult.
June Squibb did a little movie that I saw on Hulu called Thelma, where she gets ripped off, like she gets scammed by guys over the phone, and she ends up like going on her motor scooter with her grandson and like trying to find the guys that ripped her off.
I've heard about this.
It's a great little movie.
Okay. I need to see that. I've seen Robot and Frank. That was like in that same camp of like weird little kind of off movies.
And
that I wanted to see.
She played like Sheldon Cooper's mom on Big Bang Theory.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's a great actress, and it's definitely a good vehicle for her.
Okay. Yeah. Thelma. It's going on the list again.
Thelma.
Now that I remember the name of it.
It's a good one.
Thank you for reminding me of that, because it's been rattling around for a while.
I like June Squibb.
But yeah, Scarlett Johansson, she said, I think that she's drawn to the appeal of a blockbuster, she said. I think movies like that our big action movies also have the human connectivity piece. Even producing Black Widow and being a part of the production of that and the development of the story and the story between Natasha and Yelena, there is, I think, a way of doing it, a way of maintaining
Disney screwed her.
Yes. A way of maintaining the integrity, the idea of human connection, family, disappointment, all the things that were themes of Eleanor the Great, and doing it in a giant way in a giant universe. There's ways of doing that. So yeah, definitely, it could be that would be fun. So I think that she does probably have a better grasp on that than most people, because she gets the whole she's eye candy thing. I think Scarlett Johansson is a lot more intelligent than people give her credit for.
Yeah, until you see Ghost in the Shell.
She didn't write that.
No, but she was in it. So.
She took a paycheck. I can't blame a person for taking a paycheck.
Another god awful. I hate that movie.
Yeah, it's so bad. And when you've seen, I actually watched the anime, and it's
I've
really good.
The anime is just fantastic.
It's
it is so mind blowing.
And then
that live action thing is just a piece of garbage. It really is.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
but the turning invisible effect does look cool. I'll give them some of that. Like
that's the only good thing I could say about that.
There
film.
are a few little visual moments where I'm like, ooh, that's nice. Ooh, and then I remember what movie I'm watching. I'm like, ooh.
I'd rather watch Alita Battle Angel again than watch that.
Dude, Alita Battle Angel's good.
I know. I actually like that.
I like that movie.
But Ghost in the Shell, like if you've seen the cartoon, like the anime one, that was actually the first anime thing I had ever seen was Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's why I was kind of like really curious to see the live action version. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. It was.
I'm sorry.
It was disappointing. And I'm not a big anime person. I've seen Ghost in the Shell.
No, neither am I. I've seen Ninja
Death
Scroll.
Note. I haven't seen that one.
Ninja Scroll was one of the I've seen a lot of the original manga productions.
Yeah.
Those I kind of like. I just don't get as rabid fan base about it like the other anime people do.
Yeah,
I just don't have the time to sit and watch hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
Yes, yeah.
I did do it once. I watched Jujutsu Kaisen when I worked at Flix.
Oh yeah, you mentioned
it was the anime. It was the origin story, so it happened before the series did. Mm-hmm. And I thought the movie was so cool and original that I went and watched the entire series in like 2 days. And that one's actually pretty good. I like that one.
If you're ever in the mood for one again, Death Note is worth checking out. People are not wrong about it. It is a pretty fascinating.
There's a pretty rabid fan base for that thing. I know.
It was the first anime I ever watched, and I really enjoyed it. Like I got sucked in.
I'm trying to fight for Demon Slayer and the new Demon Slayer movie in September.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see.
Because I think there's a bigger audience in My Hero Academia that we did, and nobody showed up for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Demon Slayer has a big following.
Yeah. Maybe we're just not hip enough in this area yet.
You're probably right about that. I'm not.
Speaking of things that we're not hip to, and also I'm glad did not happen, Ryan Reynolds pitched Disney an R-rated Star Wars property.
That alone is pretty funny.
And I'm so glad that this did not happen. Or if it does happen and they change their mind and they go back to it, I don't want to see it.
What was it? The Empire Strips Back? There's actually a strip show in Vegas that is.
Is there really?
Yes.
Oh my god!
And you should see the advertisement for it. It's pretty funny.
Wow, that's incredible.
Look it up. I guarantee.
Is it Rule 34 of the internet? If it exists, there is porn of it. Oh goodness! So Avengers: Doomsday and Avengers: Secret War have been pushed back
like a whole year.
Yeah. So Doomsday was initially set to hit theaters May 1st, 2026, but it's now moved to December 18th.
Oh, I thought
2026.
It was 12. Okay.
Yeah. So almost a full year. Secret Wars have been moved from May 7th, 2027 to December 17th, 2027.
So you want to enlighten us on your theory behind this, Garrett?
Yes. So this is originally Spider-Man Brand New Day was going to be coming after at least Avengers Doomsday. I'm not sure if it was after Secret Wars.
Because it's coming at the end of July of next year.
Right. And so that was supposed to be after this, but that now is coming before it. And I think the main reason for the pushback has been that Sony and Marvel have not reached a deal on whether or not Spider-Man can appear in the Avengers movies. So Marvel wants to have Spider-Man. Sony's still holding on to Spider-Man to stay relevant because Uncharted didn't do well.
Well, because it's the only thing that they have that makes any money.
Yes, it is. And there's a lot of money at play in Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man is I think Batman's still technically more valuable as a property, but Spider-Man is like right there with it. And so there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with that. I'm sure Tom Holland is running around going, "No, everyone, just get along. I'm scrawny Spider-Man. Let's all be friends. I'm a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah, let's all get in the same neighborhood." And Disney's over there looking at the Sony executives, being like, "Oh, I'll kill you with my own hands." And Sony's over there looking like, "Well, in Japan, as we say, slice." And so they're fighting and the money's being talked about and all of that's happening. This will all work out because everyone wants to make money. They just have to figure out what percentage of money they're getting. That's really all it is. But I think that might have a major thing to do with the push back is to try and give time for that deal to solidify so they don't have to trash their Spider-Man plans.
Right. It's going to be who blinks first and who writes the check first.
Yeah. And it's like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Except it's the bad, and the bad. Because all of these companies suck.
Studio execs are...
So, yeah. And, if they look like Harvey Weinstein, it's the ugly, ugly, ugly.
Or then there's the studio where they look like Seth Rogen.
Yeah. I mean, you could look worse. I don't think I'd be mad if I looked like Seth Rogen, if I had his attitude.
Because it's Seth Rogen and Bryan Cranston that's head of the studio.
Oh, I'd kill to look like Bryan Cranston. Just because I think he's funny.
that show's just too funny.
Yeah. So Spider-Man, though, here's the thing. At the end of No Way Home, he kind of gets pushed. He's a street-level hero again,
right?
Which he never really got to do in the MCU. And I think would be really, really great. But if they drag him back into the Avengers stuff, then we just lose that.
Well,
and
but
I think
he was
we
in
need
Civil War.
Yeah, but he's not a street level hero in that. He's part of the Civil War with no real, dog in the fight, except that Tony told him Cap's gone off his nut, man. And that's pretty much it. And then from then on, it's intergalactic stuff.
Okay.
And I want, the Spider-Man from the Raimi movies was a street level hero. He was there doing what needed to be done in his neighborhood. And we never got to do that with Tom Holland. And I would like to see that. But if they drag him back out into, multi-dimensional Tony Stark from Otherworld, he's like, everywhere I look, I see his face. But this time he's green and mean. Like it just kind of sucks all the potential for him as a character, I think, away. And I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong on that.
And I also think that there's a theory going around right now that Peter Parker is actually trapped in a pocket dimension because Doctor Strange cast the spell while there was a dimensional merge happening. So essentially, Peter Parker in the world that he's in now is trapped in a pocket dimension and could be pulled out of that. That's like a potential excuse for them to get him back out.
That almost sounds kind of like what they're developing for the third Spider-Verse film.
Yes. Yeah. Which has been, by the way, I didn't talk about this, but apparently they scrapped the entire script halfway through animation. Oh my gosh.
But they're working on the new, like they did show us a little bit of that in Vegas.
Well, it's probably been rebooted again since then. So don't get your hopes up too much. But yeah, no, I think Spider-Man is the crux of this pushback, honestly. And it could just be other scheduling issues with other stars. I mean, they have every major Hollywood person alive involved in this, with the exception of Seth Rogen, thank God. But like, but I'm on a tear this week. But I don't know. It's I think it's Spider-Man. We'll probably never know for sure, but that's my theory.
Okay, cool.
Megan 2.0.
Make it a 2-hour movie that doesn't need to be 2 hours.
It doesn't need to be 2 hours, but you know what? As Joe Blow said, I'm here for it. Genuinely, I saw the trailer for this and was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm on board. She's taller now. I don't know why that matters,
so
but it's fun.
You want to see this?
I'm so excited for Megan 2.0.
Did you see the first one?
I did. I saw the unrated version. Loved it.
The unrated version is actually really good.
It's so dumb. It's great.
It is.
And this one is just like, if you help us take down this worst robot, we'll give you an upgrade. I'm like, that's a perfect setup for this. That's great. It's stupid.
But this new one's not a horror film. It's an action film.
That's fine. I want to see her just chop fools up with like blades for hands or whatever they give. I don't know. Give her laser eyes. Have it where she can bend over, and when you hit a button on her shoulder, she poops out a missile. I don't care. just something dumb.
You might not be too far off.
I might not be.
But yeah, it's 119 minutes, which is 1 minute less of 2.
That does seem long.
Yeah, because I don't think the first one was that long. The
No.
first one was like an hour 40, and I was like, why is this one like Gone with the Wind now?
You know what? If they go super hard on the lore building of Megan, I'm gonna obsess over that like a crazy person, just because it's the dumbest thing to obsess over.
Well, there's all these people that dress up like the doll from the movie. And everything.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a big thing when that film came out.
All right, let me see if I can get a mask. What can you imagine? Just think of children's toys, like Break the Ice, for instance, and things like that. What other sort of games in that vein would you say probably don't need a full-length feature film?
Cooties.
Okay, Cooties, good one, but not the one Mattel's currently working on with TriStar Pictures. Would you like one more guess, or are you just dying with anticipation and need to know? All right, one more guess. Go for it. What do you think?
Jeez. Ants in the Pants?
No, but I did forget about that one. That was a fun one. No, it's Whack-A-Mole.
Oh, I did read that. Yeah.
Why is this happening? And here's a quote directly from Mattel Films president, which is a real thing, Robbie Brenner. He says, "Whack-A-Mole is more than a game. It's a laugh-out-loud battle of reflexes that has brought joy and a little chaos to families for 5 decades."
Don't make a movie out of anything anymore, I swear.
We're beyond excited to team up with TriStar Pictures to turn the iconic experience into a wild action-packed ride for the big screen. Is this just going to be Paul Giamatti from The Ant Bully trying to whack moles? Oh my gosh. TriStar Pictures president Nicole Brown added, "Mattel continues to create impact with their films." Disagree.
And bankruptcy for them.
Yeah, Whack-A-Mole is no exception. A brand that has been in the culture for generations. We look forward to partnering with them to bring audiences a fresh, unexpected take on this absolute classic.
Well, if you get to watch the studio, the whole pitch for that is making Kool-Aid a movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is that. This is just that.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
Life imitates art. I
you
swear.
could say that The Final Reckoning was basically Tom Cruise playing Whack-A-Mole with 1,000 different problems. There's a Matchbox movie. They wrap production on that. That's coming out.
I could see though, because
at least
like Cars, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh my gosh, God have mercy on us when they do a live action Cars movie.
I don't think that. I think Disney is. Well, I hope they're smart enough to stay away from that.
They're monkeys in suits, Andy.
They're
just a bunch of monkeys on a trampoline in suits.
Well, there is another Planet of the Apes film coming out in a couple of years.
None of them in suits, though, so they're not classified as executives, unless ape culture progresses to the Tim Burton era again through these movies.
And none of them were harmed in the making of the film either.
No, because they're not real people. But yeah, this is just insane stuff. I mean, they have Jared Leto as Skeletor in the upcoming Masters of the Universe movie. Good for them.
But the stuff that I've seen for that already doesn't look horrible.
Yeah.
At least it looks better than the Canon Pictures one. I wonder if that'll make a comeback because of the new one coming out. It'll be funny to see if like that actually catches on to like home video or streaming or something.
People will buy it accidentally.
Oh yeah.
Grandmas will have no idea which one they're renting for their children over the weekend.
And it's really sad that Frank Langella is in that playing Skeletor.
But you know what? I commend the man for getting paid.
Or even Courtney Cox is in that.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do I not remember that?
Yeah, because she's one of the kids that finds the trans-dimensional thing that sends them to where they are. I don't remember the name of the world. But she's in that.
Horgus Blorgus, probably. I don't know. I have good news for you.
Okay.
You're going to jump out of your seat with joy.
Okay.
There's a rumor. Okay. There's a rumor. But if true, I guarantee you will crap your dacks, my friend, with absolute joy. Osgood Perkins wants to make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Oh,
Yes.
There it was. He crapped his dacks. That's an Australian term for pooping your pants.
Problem is, everybody that does like a modern day one, they're terrible.
Right, because they try to inject something called a story into what is...
That's not true. If you've seen the ones that I've seen, you know there's no story to them.
Yeah, no, that's...
And they're awful.
Someone should try that. That might be a good twist.
I think the last good one that I saw was the one that was marketed as Texas Chainsaw 3D that has Alexandria Deodato or
Daddario.
Alexandria
Daddario.
That one's not bad because they make Leatherface kind of an anti-hero and chopping up some stupid people. So I was good for that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Whoever the invalid that was in the original that died way too late in the movie, I was glad when he shut up.
Oh, Franklin,
yeah. That guy. Just the worst. Just absolutely the worst. Overshadows literally everything else in the movie.
The interviews that I've read with that over the years is Toby Hooper, that's the exact reaction he wanted. Like when Franklin dies, he wanted audiences cheering.
I mean, I didn't cheer. I just was relieved. I didn't celebrate a man's death.
Because that was my whole thing when I saw it when I was like 15 years old, the original one. And it took me a while because you have a mental image of what that film you think it's going to look like before you even see it just because of the title.
Yeah.
And I was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was staying over a relative's house and I popped that in on the VCR and started it. And it starts like the narration and everything that John Larroquette did. And I was like, nope, stop it. And took it out because I'm like, I know where this is going already. And then started it the next day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sun's up. I'm like, okay, I'm safe to watch this now. And I was like,
that was what I had to do with Jaws when I was like 5.
I was like, this movie really isn't that shocking or gory. That was kind of what I was hoping for. But
it's not gory, but it is disturbing.
I see it is, but I still like it.
Yeah, and I've softened a little bit.
Really?
Well, no, I never want to watch it again, and I absolutely think it should be hunted down and destroyed. But that is softened for me.
But there is the remake with Jessica Biel in it. That one's bad.
Yeah,
and then the one after that too.
At least it wasn't Jessica Alba.
Might as well have been.
Did you ever see The Eye with Jessica Alba?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, my friend.
Yeah, that's the Japanese version of that is so much better.
Yeah, that's normally how that goes.
Right.
Because they know how to make a horror movie over there. And here we're just like, spooky, scary, woo, werewolf bar mitzvah.
And that film did well, too. And I was like...
It did?
Yeah.
Well...
Yeah, it did pretty decently because it was a PG-13 horror film.
Right, and she's behind a frosted piece of glass, but not naked in the shower.
Right.
And so you can kind of make out the fact that there's a woman back there. And for a 13-year-old boy,
yeah,
that's everything.
Like, I'm going to that.
Yeah, and like, oh, I heard there was a shower scene. And then it's like you're looking at her head, and then you're looking at a silhouette through a door, and we're like, well, that's not what everyone was going on about. But if you're 13,
well, that's
incredible.
That's when everybody made a big deal about Ring when that came out, and Ringu, the Japanese, is so much better.
Yeah.
And
they did do some marketing I learned about this week for the Ring, though, that like really got me. There was a guy who, the internet was not what it is today at that point.
Right.
They sent out blank tapes to different places. And someone popped I read the guy's account on Reddit this week, and he was like, I popped it in, and I had no idea about the movie, and it's just the Ring tape. There's no advertisement. It's just the Ring tape.
Oh, really?
And he said, it freaked me out. And it wasn't until 2 weeks later that I saw a trailer for it and went, oh, thank God.
I wonder what the ad campaign for Blair Witch Project was. 'Cause the only thing I remember is I went to a screening about a month before it came out.
Yeah.
And the hype I had read on that thing even when I went to the screening, which, was several weeks later when the movie came out, I was really bracing myself for something that was going to be shocking and original and new and freaking 2 hours of my life I'll never get back.
Yeah. I think the Blair Witch Project was one of the first movies to use an ARG, an augmented reality game, to do some of its marketing. It was also the same with that movie you hate from Matt who did Batman.
Matt
Cloverfield.
Reeves.
Yeah. So the first
I hate that
Cloverfield,
movie.
there was so much stuff that was like hinted at in the trailer and stuff, and a website that you could go to, and you had to insert certain codes, and you had to look up these fictional companies, and like, so an augmented reality game lets you kind of dig into like the backstory of some of the stuff in the movie, but it's all marketing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but it's a super interesting thing. And I think the Blair Witch Project had some similar stuff going on, not quite as in depth, but they did some of that. And that was really what made the movie a phenomenon. But yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I hate it.
Ooh, a spooky corner. Ooh.
And it just reinvented that whole found footage horror genre and fake documentary style that I just really despise.
The only one of those I really do like is called Troll Hunter. It's a Norwegian film.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I love that movie. Like, legitimately love it.
Because that movie is so goofy,
Yeah.
like bad, that you have to love it.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I'm actually embarrassed to say that, but I love Troll Hunter.
That's almost
not
like
the Netflix original one that came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, we're talking about like 2015.
I think it was the
2014.
same company too that made that Rutger Hauer film, Hobo with a Shotgun. It's actually
Was it
pretty
really?
good. Yeah. And that one's not bad either.
That's an incredible name for a movie.
Yeah,
Hobo with a Shotgun.
And it's
heck yeah.
not horrible.
Maybe I should check that one out.
Yeah.
It'll go on the list, but tentatively. I got other important stuff to
Okay.
watch. Toy Story 5 is cast Conan O'Brien. Yeah.
Next.
Okay. So Final Destination Bloodlines sets a franchise record.
Yeah.
So they have really, really done well. It's basically a $46 million weekend, which is $20 million more than the second highest grossing installment The Final Destination made in its opening weekend. So really, really people went to go see this one.
I
Really
think
went for it.
the marketing department for Warner Brothers and New Line, that really should be their credit because they really did a good job at like boosting that film.
Yeah. And it's paid off. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
And I think maybe it's just a whole, different generation of kids that are going to see this now and appreciating stupid deaths.
Because I missed it. I missed the whole Final Destination train in the beginning. You know, I've seen that scene of the logs falling off the truck.
Yeah.
And the water bottle. I don't use water bottles in my car, legitimately. So it's like it's really one of those things that I was just past it, but now I'm at the age where I'm kind of like, this kind of looks like fun.
And it's done well at our
was.
place.
Yeah,
Even the owners and everybody are like, we still have this movie? I'm
Right.
like, yeah, and it's actually, I have it in our smallest theater, and on the weekend, that 740 show packs out.
Yeah. And legitimately, I still, all the stuff set in the 50s, I freaking love the way it looks.
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
It's probably one of the best looking of that series, and I do give it credit, like, with the makers of that film. They did a good job with that. But it is what it is, too. It's not, like I said this in the podcast when we did it, it's nothing different than anything in the else. No. It just looks better than the other ones.
And that's one of the things I love about movie making is cinematography. So it was a perfect storm for me of what a goofy thing. Oh my gosh, the shock. And hey, that 50s shot looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. It's good stuff. But yeah, it's doing well. Good for them.
Yeah. Question is, will there be another one now?
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you like not having Tony Todd anymore?
Well, he wasn't in every single one, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
they'll
so.
definitely do it. I don't know. They'll make a CG Tarkin of him and do it again. I don't know. Like, maybe he sold his rights to give money to his kids. It's possible. We don't know. But yeah, no, they're definitely, with this doing this well, they're going to make another one.
Yeah.
And they're gonna get 16 different writers in a room to come up with all the different ways people can die.
But New
and
Line,
then they're gonna pick the worst ones, and this series will crash and
New
burn.
Line hasn't said anything yet. It's like there's normally when a film does that well and it makes money, they automatically start talking like, because there was talk about Lilo and Stitch sequel even before the movie came out on Thursday.
Right. Well, the hype for that was insane.
Yeah.
Building up, and even I was excited.
Till now. When I released the genie from the bottle.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry again for that. My attitude was uncalled for.
You're
Except that I was
opinion.
110% right, and that movie is garbage trash.
Okay.
But Yeah, Final Destination, $50 million budget, box office of $187 million. That's getting another one.
And then let's go to the other end of that spectrum and Hurry Up Tomorrow and how bad those grosses were.
I cannot believe that's still one of the best reviews I've ever seen. Like, just
because I read that after we got off the podcast this week, and I was like, I was like, yep.
it's so great.
And nobody went to see that thing.
No. And all the people who did were like, can you get your head out of your own butt for 5 seconds the weekend?
I don't think I read a couple of things just out of curiosity. And number one, if anybody could figure out what the movie was about.
Yeah.
And
wasn't Maya Hawke in it or something too? Like,
I don't know.
It had people in it.
I know we weren't looking at it to book at the theater because it screwed up our Memorial Day plans. And we're looking at that going, we dodged a big bullet on that one.
Yeah.
Just like not booking The Crow.
I almost threw up in my mouth a little bit there.
I just said one of the things I belong to on Facebook said exactly the same things that we said about that film, and
copycats.
Of course, the comment I was like, "Yep, agreed, 100%. Thank you."
Link to podcast below.
The worst film of last year. I still stand by that.
Man, that was.
I don't think anything that we saw was any worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, Borderlands was embarrassing, but The Crow was actively
Just
harmful
bad.
to the history of cinema.
But you still need to watch the original.
I do, yeah. It's on the list.
Yeah.
The list is very long, Andy. I'm so excited though to catch up on Hitchcock stuff on Netflix over the summer.
Cool.
Super excited to actually finally watch those movies.
I'm going to go back and watch those again. I love those films.
It'll be a first time for me, and I'm very excited because I've watched breakdowns of scenes of Hitchcock movies. So I have a very deep appreciation for the mastery of the art, and I'm excited to actually see it in context.
He was definitely in. If you like his films too, you need to go back and watch. There was a film called Hitchcock that's about the making of Psycho with Anthony Perkins and Helen Mirren.
Oh yeah,
fantastic film. It was kind of an art house film. Fox Searchlight was behind it. It didn't get a big release. It's an amazing movie, and it's really it's just really,
called
really,
Hitchcock,
right?
Okay,
and it's all about the problems that he had making Psycho, because there's a whole bunch of things that went wrong in studio involvement, and nobody wanted him to make that film. And
well, it was shocking at the time. The shower scene especially was this is too much for audiences.
It really did start the slasher genre, I think. And I don't think it gets enough credit anymore. Everybody goes to Michael Myers and Halloween.
It's too respectable a movie. But
at the time it wasn't.
Right, yeah. But now it's viewed that way, so people don't credit it. They don't put it in the same category simply because it's a Hitchcock film. And I think that's why it doesn't get that credit.
I think he was just one of the, none of his films are alike. Some of them were horror based, but there's other ones that weren't.
What were some of the non-horror ones?
Trouble with Harry. That's the first one that comes to mind. It's a comedy.
Oh, okay. So is that before Harry Meets Sally or after?
I seriously think the guys that made Weekend at Bernie's, that they stole that off of Trouble with Harry, because it's just about the exact same story.
There's only about 7 stories in the whole world you can tell, Andy, and we're just trying to do it again and again.
Torn Curtain, Sabotage, those are kind of more spy.
Okay, yeah. There's just a whole library to look at.
There is.
Yeah, I also need to see more of Sidney Lumet's movies, because Sidney Lumet has a book that I absolutely love. I have listened to it several times. He's just talking about the art of directing and how it's so fascinating listening to him talk about the decisions.
I'd love to listen to that.
Dude, yeah, I'll send you I've got the audiobook. I'll send you you have Audible?
No,
okay.
I don't.
All right, I'll find a way. Life finds a way.
I know you're probably not thrilled about it, but trailer came out this week for Caught Stealing with Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz.
Oh yeah, I have no idea about
this. But it looks like a good gritty crime drama.
Uh-huh.
But this is the problem you're going to have with it.
Does it have Dutch angles?
No. The director is Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah, I'm immediately turned off.
But at least for my sake, check out the trailer.
Okay, I'll check out the trailer. But I legitimately, if it was Darren Aronofsky, I wouldn't even watch G-Force 2.
I like the trailer enough that the book was on Kindle for $4.99, and I bought it because I want to read the story to it.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, that's
I'll check it out. I just
look at the trailer.
Man, he just loves sacrilege too much for me.
It doesn't look like a Darren Aronofsky film. It really doesn't.
He'll find a way.
And there's a whole thing with like Hasidic Jews at the end of it that's pretty funny.
Okay.
Because they did like Austin Butler. The whole story to it is Austin Butler is an ex-baseball player that got hurt, and he's running a bar in Queens, New York, and gets mixed up with hiding a bunch of money for his punker roommate. And I think it's set in like the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for the soundtrack for this thing too.
I really hope that, it'd be really funny because we keep getting updated versions of old songs or like songs that are like really big boppy stuff. Slowed down for trailers. What I want is for people to take modern songs and play them in 70s styles and just do like the reverse needle drop. Like lift the needle.
Okay.
I just think that would be so weird and interesting, and that's the kind of thing Aronofsky might pull off.
Yeah, but I think
Can you imagine Justin Bieber's Baby but in 70s disco style?
Okay. I don't want to imagine that.
No, I don't either. That was me trying to curse everyone with the thought that they couldn't get rid of for the next week.
But I think one of Sid and the Mets films that stands out to me that I really like, and it's not a big film of his, is Night Falls in Manhattan. It's got Andy Garcia in it. And most of his films are kind of about the same thing: political corruption and dirty cops. And it's got a great supporting, like James Gandolfini is in it, Lena Olin.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's about like a first-time DA that gets involved with a case that involves his dad, which is Ian Holm. And
Bilbo Baggins himself.
Yeah, kind of goes like I don't want to give too much away but there's a lot of twists and plot turns to it.
Okay, just tell me this: does his dad disappear?
No.
Okay, so he didn't have the ring yet.
No.
Okay.
And then there's one with
Thank you for indulging me.
No problem. There's one with Armand Assante and Nick Nolte that I really like too, called Q&A, and Timothy Hutton's in that one too.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's another. He really had a way of telling dirty cop stories that it was really good and it was really engaging. And he's definitely missed as one of the. I think he could have been as big as Scorsese, but Scorsese just kind of went up to him a little bit. Yeah. As much as I like Scorsese, Sidley Lumet, I think, is the guy that doesn't get enough credit. Yeah,
because I hadn't really heard about him before the book. I was looking for books on directing, and I had the Robert Rodriguez Rebel with a Cause or Without a Cause, whatever it was. And then
I should read that too.
This one
I like Robert Rodriguez.
I have it. If you want to borrow it, I can bring it. And it, I don't know. This one just caught my attention in a way that I hadn't. And most of the book, he talks about Long Day's Journey into Night and the Orient Express and 12 Angry Men. So he talks about those a lot. He mentions some other ones, but those are the ones he kind of focuses on, like the behind the scenes stories. But
there's one that he did with Vin Diesel where Vin Diesel had a full head of hair called Find Me Guilty. That's not bad either.
I'm sorry, Vin Diesel had what?
Full head of hair.
Where? Did he carry it around with him?
Well,
the man was born bald.
Obviously, it's a hairpiece. Is it really? But it's based on a true story, and it's actually a decent film.
Okay, yeah. I'm very much like right now wanting to go back and revisit older film stuff and look at the history of it, because I think I have gotten kind of blasé about recent stuff because it's very much, it's TikTok editing and stuff.
Right.
And I want that slower pace that where it lets things breathe. And I think that would be a really, really good influence for how I create stuff as well.
I think there were so many good films like that from the 70s and early to mid 80s.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like the 70s, definitely. There's a lot of films that are like that. And
yeah, if you go back to the 1920s, you've gone too far. Because first off, that train will run you over.
And I know it's hard to believe there's really just as many films that I haven't seen that I still want to see that I have.
Well, brother, I got news for you. We're not getting any younger. You might want to start making your own list.
That's what vacations.
I'm just kidding. We're going to live forever. This podcast is cursed to live forever.
All our own private, you know what?
Yep. Purgatory?
Yeah,
Yeah, that one.
that'd be fine by me.
There are worse ways to spend purgatory,
Yeah.
for sure. But alrighty, well, that's all the news I have.
Okay.
So, man, what an episode! Thanks for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate you.
AKA Garrett's rant this week.
I am so sorry.
Don't be. Stand by your convictions.
I'm not wrong. I'm just sorry that I was so loud about it.
It scared my whole family.
I'm sorry, Jessica and Isis and Drew and Bugsy.
Bugsy just went running past us here.
Yeah, about an hour after I stopped yelling.
Yeah.
But all right, well, thank you for joining us,
Yes,
everybody.
thank you.
We really, really appreciate
We do.
you. Make sure you vote if you're listening on Spotify. Good, bad, great, or terrible. There will be options, hopefully, for both Stitch and Mission Impossible. But if I can't do that, it'll just be for Stitch because I don't Mission. It's fine. But but yeah, that pretty much brings us to the end, which means there's only one thing left to say.
We'll see you at the movies.